guy's going to be some senator one day.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Jesse Hughes Show. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back with you tonight on this amazingly gorgeous Friday night. The weather outside's great. I spent some time outside today. It was awesome. Glad to be back with you. I'm here in beautiful Lynchburg, Virginia. For those of you who might be new to the show, I am a 1L law student at Liberty University. So I'm a student hanging out in Virginia, hanging out in Lynchburg. But welcome back to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have got a lot to cover tonight. They tried to kill Trump again. They tried to kill Trump again. It already happened once. And they tried to do it again. The first assassination attempt was live on TV. Everybody saw it. You saw it, I saw it, we all saw it when it happened. We saw what happened the first time. It was very obvious. And they were this close to killing him. This time, he was at his golf course. It wasn't live on TV. And there were no shots fired by the attempted assassin. This time, Secret Service actually somewhat did their job, even though why the guy was on the premises at all, nobody's been able to answer. But they somewhat did their job, and this time the president was protected. No wounding. But this is the second time they've tried to kill Trump. And I say they. I don't know if anybody's behind this. I'm just using that as a general term. But this is the second time they've tried to do it. What is going on? Like the first assassination attempt, there are a whole lot of unanswered questions about this. Donald Trump was not supposed to be on that golf course that morning. It was a last-minute decision on his part to go to the golf course. It wasn't a public event that was scheduled. Nobody knew where he was going to be that Sunday morning. But the shooter had been there for 12 hours, camping the place out, as if he knew Trump was going to end up at the golf course. How do you explain that? How do you go about explaining, how did this guy have any sort of knowledge whatsoever about when Trump was supposed to be where, and how did he get on the golf course? How did Secret Service not discover him for 12 hours? Where were they? What were they doing? I'm glad they did their job this time when it actually mattered and when they saw the gun. But what was going on? Luckily, this time, Florida police actually have custody of the guy who tried to kill Trump. And Ron DeSantis has said that he is going to allow the Florida State Police to do their own investigation into the matter. Now, whether or not that yields anything is yet to be seen. It has a greater chance of yielding something since it's Florida doing it instead of the feds. But is this guy going to be around long enough to actually talk? That's a question that's popping up in the back of my mind that I'm not sure about. That's something we might have to look into. That's something we might have to watch out for. You remember what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? The same thing could happen to this guy. But let's look at this for a moment. What is going on? Why are they trying to kill Trump over and over and over again? It's simple. They see him as a threat to their power, a threat to their influence. And, the left will go out there and say, Donald Trump and his supporters are a threat to democracy. We need to stand up for democracy. We can't let Donald Trump get elected. Well, if you call someone a threat to democracy, a Nazi, all sorts of derogatory names over and over and over and over again, sooner or later, it seems like maybe, just maybe, potentially, someone is going to try to kill him. If Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, it's only a matter of time before someone who sees themselves as a warrior for democracy and values democracy and is indoctrinated by all your stuff decides, I'm not going to let this man be the next Hitler. Because when you call him Hitler over and over and over again, eventually someone is going to come out here and say, I'm not going to stand back and let the next Hitler rise up in my nation. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do something about it. And then you get guys like the one in Pennsylvania and the one this past weekend who actually do something about it, or try to. You cannot over and over and over and over and over and over again call Trump a Nazi, a criminal, the worst thing that happened to this country, literally Hitler, a threat to democracy. You cannot keep saying these things about him and about his supporters without expecting this kind of reaction to happen. It's almost like they want it to happen. I'm not going to make any allegations. I don't know if the Harris campaign, I doubt the Harris campaign does not want Trump to die. The media does not want Trump to die. Nobody in power on the left wants Trump to die. The federal government, nobody wants Trump to die. But they saw what their rhetoric did once, and they kept it going, trying as if, it appears as if they were egging it on to try and get somebody else to do it again. Now, obviously, don't want anyone in the legal realm to say, oh, he's accusing. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying the rhetoric seems that way. That doesn't mean it is that way. And when you call someone a Nazi long enough, it's only a matter of time before the next anti-fascist stands up and wants to be a Nazi killer. Think about it. If you were a leftist and you were being constantly told Trump is the next Hitler, Trump is a threat to democracy, Trump is going to be the end of the Constitution, Trump is this, Trump is that. If you had nothing else in your life going on, if you took an inventory of your life, I'm just describing what these people are like, by the way. If you took an inventory of your life and said, I don't have much going on here, I don't have much to live for, but I want to save democracy, would you not try to be the one who took out the next Hitler? And that's exactly what these people are doing. And instead of actually going by what they are trying to prescribe, the media, instead of saying we need to cool the temperature like they're saying, instead of actually doing that, I just had a voice crack there, my bad. Instead of actually doing that, they're going out here and they're continuing to call Trump a Nazi and a racist and a piece of garbage. And I'm just saying, if you look at how they talk, and if you look at who their demographics are, and the kind of people that follow the Democratic Party and watch MSNBC all day, it's not a surprise it happened twice. If they truly want to cool down the rhetoric, they actually have to cool down the rhetoric. Because some of their supporters are crazy enough to actually go out there and do this stuff, and they need to take responsibility for that. And some people will accuse the right of having violent, angry temperament. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that we're perfect. I don't think that we've always played fairly. I don't think that we have always had even tempers and haven't said things that are a little outrageous. But when is the last time something on Fox News or something a right-wing commentator said caused a right-winger to go out and try to kill a presidential candidate on the left? When is the last time that happened? Much less, when is the last time that happened twice in a 2-month span? When? Show me the facts. Look at the facts. Tell me, when did right-wing rhetoric ever put Joe Biden or Kamala Harris's life at danger? Or Barack Obama's? Or Hillary Clinton's or any number of Democrat operatives. Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. Look at the facts on that one. There's a lot of very interesting suspect things about that. Nancy Pelosi's husband was in a bathrobe. The guy had been at their house for how long? They were found together doing what exactly? That one is very suspect. But if you want to just take it at its face, okay, there's one example of a prominent Democratic politician, their family being attacked by someone who is apparently right-leaning. There's one example. They tried to kill Trump twice. Someone was just arrested for plotting to kill 6 Supreme Court justices. A crazed Bernie Sanders supporter shot up a congressional baseball game practice, sending Steve Scalise to surgery. I could list example after example after example. Tim Pool just filed a defamation suit against the Kamala Harris campaign because they put out a video of him that was taken extremely out of context, where he was quoting someone else, asking for them to clarify their position. They tried to say that he was advocating for the capital punishment for Democrats. Tim Pool isn't even in favor of the death penalty. And after that video was put out, someone went to one of his properties and tried to harm one of his employees. It just happened recently. They tried to kill Trump twice. When is the last time anything a right-winger has ever said in the last 20 years has ever put the life of a Democratic presidential candidate in danger? Show me once. Please, you can't. And I'm not saying that the right doesn't say some outrageous stuff sometimes. I say some outrageous stuff sometimes. I'm willing to own it. I'm not saying that we don't say crazy stuff sometimes. But nothing we have said has made two different people on 2 different occasions in a 2-month period of time try to kill Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or Barack Obama, or Hillary Clinton, or any number of people you want to name. And because the right actually has some semblance of virtue left, we kowtow and we chill down our rhetoric and we say, "All right, we're sorry. We're sorry we said these mean, nasty things." And all the while longer, the left keeps on doing what they've been doing this entire time. It does not matter that 6 Supreme Court justices just had someone arrested because he was plotting to kill them. It does not matter that Tim Pool just had someone come to one of his properties looking to harm him. It does not matter that Trump was shot and then another person tried to do it again. It does not matter. They keep on marching on, calling us racist, sexist, homophobes, Nazis, literally Hitler, threat to democracies. They will never stop. And I'm not saying that we need to stoop down to their level, because we don't. Because their level is frankly in hell. But we cannot be afraid to use harsh language in an appropriate manner and context just because they're going to act crazy about it and get offended and pretend like they're whiny. We cannot cower to their standards because they don't have any. We need to stand up, speak truth boldly in love, and not care about who gets offended about it. Because the truth is offensive, it's hurtful sometimes. You have to season it with salt. You have to pepper it with love. You have to be as loving as you can. But you can be the most loving person. Look at Jesus. Jesus was the most loving, humble person on earth. He wasn't afraid to use harsh, inflammatory language when he needed to. Look at what he called the Pharisees: vicious dogs, brood of vipers, whitewashed walls. He wasn't afraid to use harsh, inflammatory language, but Jesus was the most loving, caring person on earth, and they hung him on a cross. because he spoke the truth. Now, that was God's perfect plan and will for our salvation, but the point is still there. They hung him on a cross for speaking truth. If they killed Jesus, think about what they're willing to do to you. Why are you no different? You can be as loving, as kind, as sheepish, as winsome, as whatever you want to be. But as long as if you're standing up for truth in a culture full of lies, be ready, because they're coming for you. It does not matter. You either have the only way to get out of it is to shut your mouth or renounce what you said. There's no other way. If you're speaking even a semblance of truth, they're going to come for you. They're going to try and cancel you. They're going to try and harass you. They're going to try and get you fired from your job. They're going to try all this stuff. And I'm not saying that we should do all that. In some circumstances, it might be appropriate. If somebody threatens violence against another person, absolutely call them out. Alert their employer. Alert their school. Tell people in positions to be able to do something about it. Hey, this person is threatening to kill somebody. But we do not cower to their level. We do not cancel people for just having the wrong opinion. But we cannot be afraid to speak truth. Even if they try and shoot us in the ear like Trump. It doesn't matter. Because we know that the truth is a threat to their power, but we've got to speak it anyway. Because that's one of the only ways we're going to make change in this culture, is if we stand up, we speak, and we're not afraid. Don't be afraid. Stand up with boldness. Be bold. Do not give an inch. And don't stop talking about the fact that they tried to kill Trump. Because they're just going to try and move on from it again like they did last time. They're just going to hope that the American people forget about it. They're just going to hope that we all magically wake up one day and it's like, oh, there was an assassination attempt? I didn't know. After the election, after the votes have been cast, they hope that you forget about it and Kamala Harris wins. And then you're like, oh, I just remembered. If I would have remembered that Trump got shot, I would have voted for him. Don't let people forget the act of courage and heroism that Trump displayed under fire when he got shot, raising his fist high, yelling, "Fight," to the crowd. Do not forget. And don't let anyone in your circles forget. Your friends, your family, your neighbors, nobody. And make sure your friends and family and your neighbors are registered to vote, because we need every single person we can get turned out to vote this year. Because whether you believe in the election fraud thing or not, because I'm on YouTube, it was the safest, most secure election in American history. Duh, whatever. Moving on. If you believe in election fraud, if you don't believe in election fraud, no matter what, if you want to make sure that there's not even a question at the end of the day, you need to get out every single person you know, get them to register to vote today, and get them to cast their vote for Donald Trump in November. You gotta do it. It's what it takes. It's the least you can do. The least. We cannot let the momentum that we had over the summer die. We cannot let Kamala Harris get elected and let this country die. There's a lot at stake, and we need to remember that. All right. Moving on to a topic that surely won't get me as fired up as that just did. College football. Except I'm not talking about college football tonight. NFL. Many of you know I am a sad Carolina Panthers fan. I don't want to talk about it. I know we suck. It's been a thing. We're not getting into it. But you also know, I guess I am talking about college football a little bit with this. I love Alabama. Roll Tide. Alabama football. I've met Nick Saban. It's amazing. Great. Love it. Roll Tide till the day that I die. Go Flames as well. Liberty. I gotta support the Alma. But I love Alabama. And I was very excited when I learned a couple years ago that the Panthers would be drafting Bryce Young number 1 overall for quarterback. And then the Panthers were the Panthers, and now we are at where we are today, where earlier this week the Carolina Panthers announced that they were benching Bryce Young in favor of Andy Dalton. And why they would ever do that, I do not know. And the Alabama highlights, the Bryce Young highlights from Alabama are completely unrelated. I don't know why I've got those on the screen. They're just there, you know. They're just there. I don't know why they're playing, but anyway, they benched Bryce Young. And to be fair, Bryce was not playing well. The offense was slightly better than it used to be. And he made some very poor mistakes in the first couple of games. But after 2 games, they benched Bryce Young. And yes, he made some mistakes, but how can you expect a quarterback to be good in a system that has absolutely failed him? I love the Panthers. They're my team. They are the worst team in the league. They suck at developing quarterbacks. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at how they were absolutely trash at Carolina, and as soon as they get a break somewhere else, they're good. Where did this come from? Who are these people? What happened? Why are they not good in Charlotte, not good at Carolina, and all of a sudden you get out of Carolina and they're great? Why is it that Bryce Young has had to go through 3 head coaches, several offensive coordinators, put into the worst system in the league? I know who is responsible for all this. We all know. It's David Tepper. The idiot can't run a team. He needs to be fired. He needs to sell the team. He needs to be forced to sell the team. And people can say, oh, Bryce was never the answer. Whatever. We can get a better quarterback in the next draft class. I guarantee you, if things stay the same as they are right now, no matter who you get, if you get Carson Beck, if you get Quinn Ewers, if you get Shedeur Sanders, it does not matter who you get from this draft class coming up. It doesn't matter if you get Arch Manning in a few years, Jalen Milroe. It doesn't matter who you get. Whatever quarterback you put into this situation, you could have Patrick Mahomes at Carolina. You could have prime Tom Brady at Carolina. They would also be awful. Because the organization is a mess. The team is a mess. Everything down there is a mess. I hate being a Panthers fan because of it. And now you're going to go and bench Bryce Young? Give the kid a break. He's the same age as me. He's making millions in the NFL. I'm sitting here with 33 people watching me on a podcast in law school. We've got different life treks. I mean, it's God's plan, but give the guy a break, all right? You did not make things easy for him. I'm not saying that if he came out there and this was an at least above average team, that all of a sudden he'd be the next Tom Brady, but he would at least have a chance of playing well. And so now, after you've thrown him to the wolves, after you've used the crap out of him, after you've turned him into a human punching bag with the number of sacks he had to take last year, after you've shot his confidence, after you've made everybody across the nation question whether or not he was even a good quarterback or going first round, despite the fact he won a Heisman, you've done all of this, and now you're going to turn your back on him? Now, after 2 games in his second year, now you're going to turn your back on him? Now you're going to say, oh, we should bench him. Oh, he needs time to develop. Listen, if he needed time to develop, why didn't you play Dalton last year and let him sit for his rookie year and then bring him out this year and try and make him a playmaker. What are you doing? What are you doing? CJ Stroud was the better quarterback. He beat CJ Stroud. He beat the Texans. And with an inferior team in Carolina. He beat him. Maybe Stroud is a better player. But the record speaks. Just saying. It's insane. It's insufferable. I cannot stand being a Panthers fan because of crazy stuff like this. We have been cursed since 2015, I swear. We've been cursed. Cam Newton should have dove on that fumble in the Super Bowl. If he had, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. But Cam Newton not diving on the fumble apparently put a curse on us that we can never come back from. We're just cursed to be the worst team in the league and make the worst decisions possible about everything. And despite all that, despite the fact that we suck, I'm still going to put on the jersey because I've got to support my man, Bryce Young. I got to support him. And despite how much we are a garbage team, I'm still going to put the jersey on. The Bryce Young jersey never comes off. And listen, I know Bryce is partially to blame in all of this. He has shown some signs of regression. He hasn't been the greatest playmaker in the world. But look at what's surrounding him. Yeah, maybe the team is just a little bit better. But the culture is terrible at Carolina. It's awful. If I was in a room with Bryce Young right now, and I had an opportunity to say something, I would just tell him, Bryce, you're a star. You're a talented player. You're awesome. You did things at Alabama that shouldn't be humanly possible. You're a stud. And you got thrown into a horrible situation. And now they're turning their back on you after they've chewed you up and spit you out. And there is some blame to take on your part, but look at what you've been put through. Look at the system you fell into. I can't blame you for being mad. I can't blame you for feeling discouraged. But I know you're a Christian, and I know that God has way greater plans for you than you could ever imagine or desire. And you need to consider it joy when trials come your way, because we know that the testing of our faith produces endurance. And I know you are not a bust. You are not an NFL bust. You're not incapable of being a good quarterback in the NFL. You can go out there and do amazing things on the field and use your platform to shine a light for God, to shine a light for the gospel. If you choose to stay at Carolina and it somehow works out, the Bryce Young jersey, it's never coming off. It's never coming off during a football game. And if you choose to go somewhere else and get a better opportunity there, the jersey's still not coming off. I'm still keeping it on. I'm still going to support you no matter where you go. But remember your faith, because some things are bigger than football. And remember where your help comes from. Remember where your strength comes from. Remember in who you trust. The Lord. Some things are bigger than football. But I saw it at Alabama, and I've seen flashes of it in the NFL. You're an amazing player who can do amazing things. And you will. The jersey's never coming off, whether you stay in Charlotte or go somewhere else. It's not coming off. Roll Tide. Keep pounding. Keep doing your thing, man. All right. It's been a shorter show than usual tonight, but in all honesty, those were the only two things I've really prepared for. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news right now, especially in my home state of North Carolina, but I I think I'm going to wait to touch that because one, hot topics are always hot, and sometimes when you touch hot things, you get burnt. And two, sometimes things aren't always as they seem. So there's some news coming out of North Carolina right now that I think I'm going to wait before I talk about it. But in any other sense, it's been a crazy news week. I wish I was more prepared for tonight, but it's also been a crazy school week. We have midterms coming up next week for my law school classes. This is the only semester I'll ever do a midterm. It's just to kind of get me an idea of what a law school exam looks like and how I'm doing so far. But those are scary, stressful things. So please be praying for me in that. But that's all I've got for you tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for hanging out. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night, a great weekend. Go watch some college football tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that follow button on Twitter, share this with your friends. Make sure to like it, make sure to share it, make sure to do all that great stuff. Thank you guys. God bless you all. God loves you, and so do I. I hope you have a great weekend.